On Christmas Eve of 2024, Pope Francis opened the Holy Door of the St. Peter's Basilica, marking the beginning of the 2025 Jubilee year, a once-a-quarter-century celebration of the Catholic Church. The theme of the whole year, as insiders call it, is Pilgrims of Hope, and the watchword is Spes non confundit. Hope does not disappoint. Quite ironically, it is hope and trust not just in the world but in our very selves that we are lacking in. And contrary to the watchword the Pope coined, people may not even look forward to hoping at all, as they have had enough disappointments in life already that they cynically see the concept of hope as another term for foolish, wishful thinking. The year 2024 is marked with confusion, chaos, and cynicism, especially because of the events of the year that will pass into history in a few hours' time. Nevertheless, we seek to not just look at the bright side of all the brain rots we encounter, but also to put our trust not in chariots and horses or the men and princes riding them, but in the divine, or at least the common good. It is particularly a thing I have been learning in the past 12 months, given everything that has happened in it. And, it was a rough year for me. Hi everyone, I'm Yearender, an independent alternative media practitioner among other things, and as per tradition, here is the IJR Productions 2024 Yearender review for both my YouTube channel, INTREPID Yearender, and the INTREPID podcast. And let's start right now. Right off the bat, the world was devastated with a strong earthquake that hit Japan at the start of the year, as well as the crash landing of Japan Airlines Flight 516 at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Knowing Japanese resiliency and efficiency, it's no wonder they recovered easily. Now, on the internet side of things, Matthew Patrick, who we know as MatPat, also announced in January his intention to retire from YouTube, a move he mostly did in March for his four major theorists channels: Game Theory, Food Theory, Film Theory, and Style Theory. I butchered the order there, but those are the four theorists channels. And he also did that in October for the recorded as live gameplay and reaction channel GT Live. His final major theorist video on game theory was dedicated to the Hungarian-American mathematician John von Neumann, the man who gave the world the concept of game theory as a principle of trust in fellow human beings, which we would talk about later by the end of this special content. Now, the world order also brought some changes in leadership right bang on from the beginning of the year, with Denmark's Queen Margrethe II abdicating in favor of her firstborn son, now known as King Frederick X. A year ago, or on New Year's Eve of 2023, she announced that she would be abdicating on the 52nd anniversary, I guess, of her accession to the Danish throne. Now, she's passing it over to her son, and she now passed it over to her son. Now, in keeping with the Scandinavian tradition of having an adjective defining a monarch such as Eric the Red or Bjorn Ironside or whatever, Margrethe could be known in the annals of history as Margrethe the Artist due to her artistic ventures before, during, and even after her reign. Then, Saudi Arabia announced that it would be joining BRICS. Not the bricklaying league or something. It's basically an anti-NATO alliance between Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and other formerly non-aligned countries. So yeah, it's a bit of an irony because Iran is also in there. So it's we'll just see what would happen in 2025 as part of this thing that Saudi Arabia got itself into. But back at home, Antipolo Cathedral, the shrine of the Virgin Mary under the title Our Lady of Peace and Good Voyage, has been declared by the Vatican as an international shrine. Whether global pilgrims would be able to come to the hilltop shrine by foot, motor vehicle, pedaled wheels, or public transportation remains to be seen. However, I do understand that there would be a bus service. I'm not sure if it's from Pitex or from Makati. All that would go all the way to Antipolo. I think it's a point-to-point bus system. Either way, it's a welcome relief for pilgrims who want to go to Antipolo for some reason. So I guess it's a win-win. Now, in February, nothing much happened due to how short it is, but the biggest news that happened was the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny in, well, let's just say the most suspicious of causes possible under Vladimir Putin's regime. Another large story that happened in early 2024 is the double cancer diagnosis of British monarch King Charles III and his daughter-in-law, Catherine, Princess of Wales. Despite these circumstances, the rest of the working members of the British royal family, led by Charles's son and heir and Catherine's husband, Prince William, kept calm and carried on while juggling personal responsibilities. It was also during this time that Sesame Street's Elmo asked how people are doing, and the answers seemingly overwhelmed him. My goodness, that was a doozy back then. And yes, Vince McMahon of the WWE, formerly, is outed for sex trafficking allegations. So, well, he's already gone, but with the US government up his ass, yeah, he's fired. Okay, I butchered that. I really wanted to shout at the top of my lungs, but then again, I'm recording this in the most precarious situation possible. It's around 4 in the afternoon and still a bit of a siesta time here in Intrepid HQ, so that's the best that I can do. Anyway, moving on to March, the first of SpaceX's 4 Starship flight tests for this year flew. While attempts to recover the vessels failed, at least during the first 2 flights, the company said it was allegedly testing its systems and gradually and rapidly iterating the Starship design to have better results in the next 3 flights. And you know what? Better results were observed. Flight 4, because this was Flight 3, the one that happened in March. Flight 4, I'm not sure when did that happen, but it was much better. It was a much better result. Then in Flight 5, the super heavy first stage booster was recovered by those chopstick-like mechanical arms at Starbase, so that happened. And then there was also a daylight visual confirmation of a soft water landing of the upper stage, of the Starship upper stage, across the Indian Ocean in Flight 6, both of which happened later this year. So basically, Flight 6 happened, I think, in November. So yeah, I am still picking my jaw from the floor for all of this, for all of the things that happened in this year in SpaceX's campaign. My goodness. Team Space. I am Team Space here in this kind of thing. Say what you will about Elon Musk. Screw that for a moment. Anyway, after the acceptance of neighboring Finland into the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, in 2023, Sweden ended its centuries-long diplomatic and military neutrality due to the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine by joining NATO as its 32nd member state. Geopolitically speaking, the country is a natural NATO asset as it has developed its own defense capabilities independent of any European Union or NATO influence uh, when it was still a neutral country joining EU and NATO joint exercises. And in speaking of the war between Russia and Ukraine, it was a doozy because Ukrainian troops invaded Russian territory in the Kursk Oblast. So wow, it's this back and forth is just bonkers to believe in. But here we are at the end of the year. It happened. Anyway, with Sweden's inclusion into the alliance, perhaps its country's war machine and defense market would be able to make its presence felt within and even beyond NATO, where its unique design of tanks and military aircraft could be exported alongside IKEA, the love for Swedish meatballs, and the fascination for the constantly evolving YouTuber Felix Kjellberg, aka PewDiePie. I mean, come on, Sweden is known not only for IKEA, not only for its prior neutrality, not only for its good meatballs and all that. It was also famous because of Felix Kjellberg, because of Pewds, okay? So shout out to you, Pewds. I really have a hard time talking about your country getting into NATO. God dang. Sorry. The month ended tragically after Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed after a cargo ship lost control of its propulsion and crashed into one of its piers, causing the death of 6 people. So, yeah, that happened. As the year passed through April, the tertiary education system in the United States was highlighted as pro-Palestine protesters occupied university campuses as part of the continued political turmoil of the war between Israel and the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. This was partially triggered by the death of 7 aid workers, all of them allegedly as a result of an Israeli airstrike. The protests were also brought about by the increasing tensions between the Jewish state and the Islamic Republic of Iran. While on her now legendary Eras tour, Taylor Swift allegedly made hit pieces covered in music against at least 2 ex-partners and a Kardashian scion and compiled them into a double album called The Tortured Poets Department, and it sold so fast. So, shout out to you, Swifties. You did it. Now, earthquakes also hit a familiar location within the Pacific Ring of Fire and an unfamiliar one in the middle of geological nowhere this April. This is of course related to the powerful 7.2 magnitude earthquake in Taiwan and an unusual one that happened in upstate New York, respectively. So, yeah. Earthquake in upstate New York, that also makes me scratch my head, but that happened. Anyway, the British Ministry of Defense reported at the beginning of May that it was allegedly hacked by China. And as the year ends, there are speculations that a Chinese spy was messing up with His Majesty's government and all of its apparatus. Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister at the time, also announced plans to hold a general election for the UK's Westminster Parliament. In Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen's Vice President, William Lai Ching-te, was elected and sworn as her successor in the island nation's presidential election. Lai has been known for his pro-American, anti-CCP perspective in asserting the country's independence and self-determination, to the consternation, of course, obviously, of the government of Xi Jinping in the mainland. Succeeding him as vice president is his running mate, Louis Xiaobi Kim. Singapore also had a rare transfer of power after Lee Hsien Loong stepped down as the city-state's prime minister, handing over the reins of the Southeast Asian economic powerhouse to Lawrence Wong, who retains his capacity in the finance portfolio, which is a position he held since 2021. Wong was also the first PM who was born after Singapore's independence from Malaysia in 1965. So I guess you have to know that one. After that, he made a quick Southeast Asian tour. Prime Minister Wong made a Southeast Asian tour, and I think he had a he made a stopover in Manila for some reason. So yeah, that happened. And then Iran's president Ibrahim Raisi perished after he and several people on board a Bell 212 helicopter crashed into a mountainous area of northern Iran after meeting with Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev at a hydroelectric dam bordering both of their countries. Masoud Pezeshkian, sorry if I butchered the name, eventually replaced him after winning Iran's presidential election shortly after. In June, for the first time, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Manila in order to promote his the country's peace summit in Switzerland, where Russia is obviously uninvited. And the summit happened after the G7 summit in nearby Italy, and presidential peace advisor and former General Carlito Galvez Jr. was named head of the Manila delegation. So that happened too. Another big story of June 2024 is the unprecedented case against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. While he pleads guilty to the espionage charges as part of a deal with the US government, the Australian free speech advocate walked away from the final trial a free man. So, congratulations to you, mate. On the internet side of things, though, Filipino content creator Lincoln Kong TV Velasquez and his longtime girlfriend and fellow content creator V. Cortez got married. And upon the advice of Father Nelson Osorio OSJ, which every Catholic following the couple's orbit considers as the unofficial chaplain of the content creator house Team Payaman, the couple got married in his parish, which is actually an hour to 90 minutes bike ride away from Intrepid HQ. I've been there. I've been in that church. It's fairly big, and I think it has a restaurant of sorts. So I'm not sure if it's even there, but shout out to you, Father Nelson. That's all I can say. On the other hand, Kong's brother, Junie Boy, and his brother-in-law, Boss Keng Gaspar, basically Pat Velasquez's husband, tried to tarnish the group's reputation after it was revealed that they have promoted an online gambling platform. Either way, a lot of Filipino content creators and a lot of their fans have basically slammed Junie Boy and Boss Keng for basically promoting online gambling. And I think this is also the case with Nadine Lustre and all the other people who have been promoting gambling platforms and all that shit. Even if that is big money, I am not going to promote anything related to gambling. One person in my family is one person enough to be addicted or somehow fascinated with gambling. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna pass it down to myself and to my children anymore. So that's that. This is exactly the reason why I'm no longer interested as well in covering Filipino content creators in general, because the topics about them are so exhaustive and localized ad nauseam. And you know what? I'm skipping through the other months here for a second, but you know, it's for the best that I am not that familiar with all of the Filipino creators at this point, because with all due respect to them, it's just cringy. Everything that they have been spewing out on social media is cringy, and for the love of everything that is holy, Nico David and Makagago should just stop this beef. I mean, come on. They've done this in 2019 to 2020. They're gonna repeat it again. Goodness gracious me. They should get a grip, both of them. Okay? Uh anyway, to finalize June 2024, John Cena can no longer be seen in the WWE because he actually retired. It's not because of his famous catchphrase "You can't see me," but because he actually retired. He's gone in the WWE shows. He's retired. That's it. You would no longer see John Cena because he's retired. Anyway, the top story for July 2024 is obviously the assassination attempt on now US President-elect Donald Trump. As it is such a well-covered story that recalling it here seems to be repetitive already, including the naming of J.D. Vance as his running mate and now as Vice President-elect. But perhaps this event and Joe Biden's exit from contesting another term cemented Trump's victory and paved the way for his return to the White House. Another person who was shot, and this time killed, was Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, who was tracked down by, guess what? Mere Israeli reservists while on a test mission in Gaza. I don't know what the hell is going on, but it's absolutely crazy. Another thing that happened in July was that the United Kingdom also held its general election, which saw Rishi Sunak and his Conservative Party decimated from power and causing Sir Keir Starmer and the Labour Party to rise to power. But for Starmer's government, everything went to hell almost as soon as he stepped inside number 10, particularly because of the riots as a reaction to the stabbing incident that killed 3 young children at a place in the UK. And that's really tragic. And another tragic thing relating to children is that a Russian missile also hit a children's hospital in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. So, yeah, that's also tragic. Now, on tech news, Microsoft had a hacking incident that somehow triggered a lot of flight delays, but also speculations of Jimmy Mr. Beast Donaldson's shady media practices and the predatory accusations of his friend and co-presenter Ava Chris Tyson did not help one bit. We're gonna deal with that later on. Also, veteran British astronaut Tim Peake joins Axiom Space, making him the third most known professional astronaut joining the firm after Michael Lopez Alegria and Peggy Whitson. On Catholic matters, the Knights of Columbus at the beginning of its operational year, they always begin their calendar year in July, announced that it would remove the artwork of the disgraced and yet to be defrocked Slovenian priest and alleged sexual predator Marko Rupnik. You know, that Jesuit guy who designed the logo for the most recent Jubilee prior to the one in 2025. That one is almost 10 years ago in 2016. Basically, the Knights of Columbus is removing all of Rupnik's artwork from its American premises, particularly in its global headquarters in New Haven, Connecticut, and its Washington, D.C. site. As a fourth-degree member of this organization, I have to say that I welcome this move, which I think should have been done years ago. And that's the end of it. Now, in the same religious vein, the Paris Olympics featured some questionable performance art allegedly depicting the Last Supper, the Christian story of Jesus instituting the Eucharist. And let's not forget about the French political shit show in its legislature that has been plaguing French politics for the better half of this year. So, yeah, it is a shit show. But to end tackling this month, this year's Tour de France is iconic and historic because it is Mark Cavendish's final season as a professional cyclist. Cavendish won his 35th and final Tour de France stage And later on in November, he also won his final race ever in Singapore. Although for this season, Tadej Pogacar won the overall competition at the expense of his Olympic spot in the Serbian team in the Paris Olympics. As for Cavendish, he was eventually knighted by Prince William on behalf of his father earlier this year. So basically, the Max missile is now called Sir Mark Cavendish. So yeah, a cycling knight. Come to think of it. Now, in speaking of the Olympics, the Philippines was highlighted once again after gymnast Carlos Yulo won not one, but 2 gold medals in separate events in the Games. However, the whole thing was absolutely spoiled by his nosy mother, Angelica, who, as the country soon discovered, had some falling out, unfortunately, not only because of money, obviously, but also with Yulo's choice of partner. And again, I am not gonna delve with that shit. I have written that on Substack. It's intrepid.substack.com without the N on my family name. You can check it out. You can check out all of my written articles there. And then all of the accusations against Donaldson started to surface. From Dawson Dogback 404 French to Rosana Pansino to Jake Weddle to Stephen Findison, aka Coffeezilla, to eventually Dan TDM Middleton, no relation to the Princess of Wales or her family, by the way. But the one with Dan TDM was a triple, was actually a 3-1 handicap, because he did not only tackle Jimmy, he also tackled Logan Paul and KSI because of their food collaboration on Lunchly. Anyway, that's another can of worms, quite literally, to that has been unpacked by other content creators. I definitely recommend you do your own research on that. Either way, Donaldson's reputation has been tarnished in the court of public opinion, and that's the bottom line, because Intrepid Ian Riñon said so. Yeah, I'm sorry if I did some Stone Cold Steve Austin there, but that's me. Anyway, it was also this month when former YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki and Sister Agnes Sasagawa, the seer of the Marian apparition in Akita, Japan, died. So may both of them rest in peace. Now, as we got into the Burr months, a lot of things happened that certainly made me rethink my way of seeing things in the world. It all started with Pope Francis's Asia Pacific tour, when he made the unfortunate mistake of telling Singaporeans that, and I quote, all religions lead to God, even with the context of the city-state's mandate of harmony between its 3 major ethnicities: Confucian and Christian Chinese, Muslim Malays, and Hindu Tamils. Another factor was the introduction of Emily Armstrong as the new co-vocalist of Linkin Park, where purist fans struggled to accept her because of the legacy of the late Chester Bennington, while other fans welcomed Mike Shinoda's decision to have her on the band. Now, Armstrong proved her worth in the band through its new album, From Zero. And for me, her screaming at Heavy is the Crown settled the matter. So, I am pro Emily here, okay? I am just saying. Now, the third and perhaps fourth factor or factors that made me think about myself involved the arrest of controversial personalities screwing up Filipino geopolitics: Apollo Quiboloy and Alice Guo Huaping. Finally, because of these headlines and more, many glossed over the new Shroud of Turin finding, which found that the wounds of the man of the shroud received were consistent with the wounds inflicted on Jesus Christ as mentioned in the Gospels. In short, it was in September when I seriously considered something I have to address, and that is cynicism and nihilism. But I would be remiss to not include the Polaris Dawn mission here, because It was the very first time civilian astronauts, i.e., those not affiliated with any government space program, were able to conduct spacewalks. Eventually, the mission's commander, Jared Isaacman, was picked by Donald Trump to become the next NASA administrator. So, to Jared, congratulations to you, and we wish you the best. In the middle of September, an Israeli black ops decimated the leadership of Hezbollah, including its leader Hassan Nasrallah. Most of the casualties were inflicted by exploding pagers. So, the next time you try getting a beeper as an alternative communication device, make sure you're not affiliated with a verified terrorist organization, because you may suffer the same fate, okay? I am just saying. But this became the match that lit another full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah. Although low-scale, low-intensity back-and-forth barrages have been exchanged since October 7th. And speaking of which, the first anniversary of the deadly attacks was commemorated by Israel and the Jewish world on that date, especially at the site of the Nova Music Festival, where the last track before the attack commenced was played, and then it was abruptly stopped. This signaled the beginning of what Benjamin Netanyahu called Israel's 9/11, but multiple times over. Also this month, One Direction fans were also saddened with the accidental and fatal defenestration. Defenestration is basically you were thrown out of the window, or you fell out of a window or a balcony from some room. That's basically defenestration. But this one is accidental and fatal because Liam Payne, one of its former members, died when he fell off his hotel room while he was in Argentina. But on the bright and bittersweet side, Paul Barbato, aka Barbs of Geography Now, finished the list of UN-recognized countries with the Zimbabwe episode. And from there, he said he would seek to travel to the countries he has tackled, as well as launch a new format called Geogratalk. I just wanted to tell an anecdote here. I started with the sea episodes, or the sea countries episode. I am not sure where, but perhaps it's Colombia. I started watching Barbs on Geography Now on the Colombia episode, and I may have hit or missed some parts of it along the way, but I definitely watched the Zimbabwe episode. It was so historic when it comes to YouTube content. So shout out to you, Barbs, and good luck on traveling the world. That's it. Also, Luce was introduced as the Vatican's mascot for Jubilee 2025, and a lot of Catholics participated in a heated discussion about her existence and the company that designed her and her 3 friends. Yes, she has 3 friends, which were also designed by Tokidoki. I have made a Substack article on that. Do check it out, okay? It was a doozy. And it also didn't help that some of the new cardinals, including Caloocan Bishop Pablo Virgilio, Cardinal David, are theologically ambiguous at best and heterodox at worst. I'm just saying. Obviously, the US election has been the main focus of November 2024. As mentioned earlier, Republican candidate Donald Trump won against his Democratic counterpart, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, who replaced Biden in the race to the White House. Other than that, the last Starship flight test of 2024, Flight 6, happened in the middle of the month, which Trump personally witnessed after he won as the next president of the United States. Then there's an announcement from Jacksepticeye declaring that he was officially diagnosed and autistic. So, welcome to the club, Sean McLaughlin, and welcome to the spectrum. That's what I can say. A ceasefire was also brokered between Israel and Hezbollah during this month, but it was an uneasy one, and whatever happened in Syria made it much more uneasy. You see, Syrian opposition forces were able to topple the regime of Bashar al-Assad after they made a lightning campaign from Aleppo to Damascus. The main faction leading the rebellion, I'm not sure of the name of the group or of its leader, promised to allow human and religious rights to minorities, but given its previous affiliation with the Islamic State and other terrorist organizations, the extent of such guarantees remain to be seen. Riots are also ongoing in Georgia between a pro-Russian government and a pro-European Union opposition, and it would likely to spill out in 2025, so that's something that I would have to actively monitor personally. So that's that. Seoul also had a sleepless night earlier in December after South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law, which lasted merely hours between December 3 and 4. He was eventually impeached, and then the acting president during that time, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, was also impeached days after Christmas. So right now, it's also political chaos in South Korea, and I am researching on the fly here, and the new acting president of South Korea is Choi Sang-mok. So yeah, Choi Sang-mok is the acting president of the Republic of Korea, and I really hope that the country would basically get their political shit together, if not this year, at the beginning of 2025. So that's that. And to make things worse, an Arab man plowed into a Christmas market in the German city of Magdeburg, killing a handful of people and injuring scores more. And then a young punk shot a healthcare CEO in cold blood in retribution for what he perceived as injustices in the US healthcare system. I really just wanted to let this rip, okay? Whatever happens in that case, it's a gray area, okay? The US healthcare system, from what I have been hearing and reading, is crappy poo. But then again, this is not an excuse for vigilantes like Luigi Mangione to do what he did. Okay? I'm just saying. Okay? This is such a gray area. Let the courts do their thing. And then Canlaon also erupted in the central Philippine island, which for some reason sounds like the word PewDiePie said at a random bridge all those years back. So that's that. And then just around Christmas, an Azerbaijani jet crashed in Kazakhstan with speculations ranging from a bird strike to a Russian missile. And as I am recording this content, a Jeju Air jet crashed at the end of a South Korean runway in an attempt to make an emergency landing after its gears did not deploy. And the Jeju Air jet is actually a Boeing 737. What the fuck is going on with Boeing 737s right now? I mean, the year started with a 737 mishap, and then you have problems with Boeing itself because of other 737 flight accidents and Starliner, and now we're ending the year with another 737 crash landing in Korea. What the fuck is going on with Boeing? Anyway, with this string of bad news, one thing that could be a good highlight is the reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris 5 years after a fire gutted it in 2019. Apart from the liturgical crap that is French eccentricity, from the vestments to the altar to everything else, even the organ improvisations, well, I'm just happy that Notre Dame is back in its full glory as a house of worship for French Catholics and for the people of the world. So I guess I can end that. I can end most of my recap of the year 2024. And as we end this year, we also say goodbye to the following people that I will be reading in this list that I have in my script: Alexei Navalny, Eric Carmen, Jacqueline Jose, Akira Toriyama, O.J. Simpson, although there are some are saying he may rest in pieces, but it's not in our hands now. Carlo J. Caparas, Bill Anders, Chino Trinidad, Jerry West, Susan Wojcicki, Sister Agnes Sasagawa, Sergio Mendes, Alberto Fujimori, Paul Harrell, James Earl Jones, Tito Jackson, Maggie Smith, Socorro Coritha Avellino, Leland Bernal, Chris Christopherson, Liam Payne, Quincy Jones, Robert Alejandro, and Kabasu the Doge Dog. May they and all others who have died this year but are not in this list rest in peace. Moving forward, I know I have basically made a rundown of most of the events that happened in the year that is about to close, but there are some of the highlights I think we should mention in a short but particular manner. First of which are the Diddy allegations. My goodness, Sean Diddy Combs is in one hell of a lawsuit because gosh, the whole of Hollywood has been shook to its core when the whole world knew about the sexual allegations against Diddy. I mean, he has become a meme for all of the, and Diddy has been the shorthand for groomers. And aside from Diddy, there has been a lot of other groomers in mind, such as Jay-Z, Dan Schneider, Dr. Disrespect, and as I said earlier, Ava Chris Tyson too. So yeah, and there's also a lot of allegations against Andrew Tate as well. That's questionable. And there's also some allegations for other people. I'm not gonna list them, but Diddy is the head honcho of these groomers. My goodness, if ever he gets convicted, I really think it's gonna be at the very least life imprisonment, if not the gallows, if you know what I mean. Then, in the world of YouTube, you have Nikado Avocado, the fat guy mukbanger, who's been very much the laughing stock of YouTube for his fat body and his content as a fat guy. He's fat no longer, and for some reason he has deceived us all and basically said that all of the things that everything about his fat phase has been long in the past, and has been doing a lot of gym and a lot of exercise and a lot of stuff. Good for him though. Although a lot of people are also speculating that he might have been taking Ozempic too, and all of those anti-diabetic or anti-fat or anti-obesity drugs. But the fact that he's no longer fat is a highlight for YouTube as well. Then there is this streamer called Sketch, who had a sketchy past, and for some reason, some of his previous videos, most of it are gay sex videos for some reason, leaked on the internet, and these people, some social media users, have bullied Sketch to the point of uh prompting him to erase himself from the plane of our existence. Thank God he didn't. I really I really think the apology that he made was so genuine. And you know, good for him that he's addressing this now, and he's you know, fixing his shit on the behind the scenes. I really hope that he would get himself a therapist, and he would uh perhaps have a chance to read Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's book 12 Rules for Life. In speaking of him, two major things that happened in his life. First of all, he published a new book called We Who Wrestle with God. But then again, I'm in a very I very much lag behind when it comes to all of his work. So I need to read Beyond Order first before We Who Wrestle with God. Either way, he's now in the United States alongside his daughter, Michaela. And, it's a good thing. I guess it's Canada's loss and America's gain. But, yeah. That's how the cookie crumbled for the Peterson family and for Dr. Peterson. So, I guess I would like to give a shout out to him for that. But the main event in pop culture, one of the main events, aside from the Eras Tour and the Tortured Poets Department, we'll tackle that later on. One of the main events is the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef. I mean, it's so exhaustive and it's so back and forth. I'm not going to do that all over again. I'm not gonna tackle that. A lot of people have already done so. I'm not really a hip hop guy. I'm not really into rap, although I do appreciate it. But I'm more of a metalhead, so that's that. Either way, the winner here is the fans. The winner here is the fans, because basically, it's banger after banger after banger. So, yeah. The winner here are the fans. Now, when it comes to tech news, there are a lot of shit that's happening aside from SpaceX. First and foremost, the rise of artificial intelligence. Well, there have been a lot of stuff when it comes to tech, when it comes to AI too, especially with Sam Altman and OpenAI, because there's been a beef between him and Elon Musk and all of the other AI players, all of the competitors of ChatGPT. My goodness, this is so immense that I have to skip this, because this has been tackled so much, and I'm not an expert. I'm not a pundit when it comes to tech stuff. I really just wanted to tell you that this happened in 2024. And then there's Nvidia. Jensen Huang's company became the largest tech company in the fucking world. I think it's already in the trillions. I am not sure, but since Nvidia is venturing into AI, into into making microprocessors and chips, or basically these are chips that are AI ready, that valued Nvidia way past its competitors, and goodness gracious me, it became in demand for some reason. And at the beginning of 2024, some tech bosses were grilled by lawmakers in the United States, specifically TikTok. Although there's also X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, Meta, who handles Facebook and Instagram. There's also Snap, which is basically the parent company of Snapchat. I'm not sure of the other one. Yeah, I'm not sure of the other one because I know there are five of them, five tech bosses um who were summoned by U.S. lawmakers on Capitol Hill. So that's what happened. And one of the effects of this congressional hearing is a ban on TikTok, because some U.S. lawmakers believe that since ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, has some connections to the Chinese Communist Party, and rightfully so that I am very much not into TikTok at this point because I really think it's a data farm for some reason. Uh, they are ordering TikTok to have it sold to a U.S. company, or else they would be banned on January 19th. That's a day or two before Donald Trump gets inaugurated. Quite ironically, though, Trump has a TikTok account for his presidential campaign. So I don't want to say it's hypocritical, but you know what? We'll see what happens. Okay, this is another of those things that we need to monitor constantly at the beginning of 2025. There has also been some data breaches, not just in Microsoft when it comes to glitches, but also a data breach for AT&T. That's ugly. And then I don't know if there are any other tech news uh that I can remember at the top of my head or in this script that I have, but do leave it in the comments below if I missed something on the tech side of things. Now, I also love geology, okay? I should have studied geology for some reason because I am absolutely fascinated by how volcanoes work and how the earth works. And perhaps it's also influenced by the fact that I'm half Batanggenyo, and the town the Mother Superior uh was born and raised in is one of the lakeshore towns of Taal. And we all know that Taal erupted in 2020, and it's still having eh, she's still having her feelers, phreatomagmatic eruptions and all that shit. I'm very much fascinated how volcanoes like Taal work. So I'm also monitoring some volcanoes from Iceland to Hawaii to here in the Philippines. As I said, Canlaon is currently erupting at this point, or in the phase of post major eruption. It's still on a high alert. Then there's Grindavik in Iceland. I think this has been active earlier this year, but I'm not sure now. But yeah, it's out there. And then there's Kilauea in the Big Island of Hawaii. Uh, on Christmas Eve, it started its lava flows again. So it's unfortunate, especially for those on the Big Island. 2024 is also the year of elections. Almost half of the world went to the polls. And, it's really fascinating that there are some people who stayed there, and there are some others who went out. As I said, Rishi Sunak is out. Sir Keir Starmer is in the UK. Biden and Harris are out. Donald Trump is in the United States. But there have been some... And in South Korea, the reason why there has been a political shit show happening right now is because the opposition party of the opposition party has gained a lot of seats in South Korea's parliament. I think it's the Democratic Party too. That's the name of the party. I'm not sure, but basically, Yoon Suk Yeol's political party has lost a lot of seats in its parliament, and that's the reason why there's this political shit show in South Korea, and it absolutely sucks. And in its northern neighbors, I just wanted to go on a tangent here. Some North Korean soldiers were deployed in Ukraine, or you know, some North Korean volunteers or voluntolders uh, were uh, were noticed in the battlefield uh, in the battlefields of the war between Russia and Ukraine. Some of them were died, some of them were captured, and yeah, that complicates a lot of things. Now, before we go on a hefty tangent, uh, as I said, as much as a lot of people uh, have voted to change the system and all that shit, a lot of people also, a lot of familiar people are also remaining in their posts, such as El Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele, Vladimir Putin, of course, of Russia. I mean, uh, effectively, he's now the Tsar, the political Tsar. I'm not sure, but you know what? I'm just saying the news here, okay? And then there's Narendra Modi in India, and then in Mexico, they have voted the very first female president to ever serve in office, and her name is Claudia Sheinbaum. She's a scientist turned politician, and surprisingly, she's Jewish, serving as president of a predominantly Catholic nation. So, take of that what you will. Anyway, with all the shit show that's happening in 2023, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists have placed the doomsday clock at 90 seconds to midnight. With everything that happened this year, there's a possibility that, you know, it would stay at 90 seconds to midnight, or it might escalate into 80 seconds to midnight, or, you know, 89 seconds to midnight, or below that. God forbid. I really hope that everything would calm down in this world, because 90 seconds to midnight, and midnight meaning nuclear war, man, that is very, very scary indeed. However, aside from scares and glares and whatever, there are also good stuff that happened in 2024. First of all, astronomically, there's the Great North American Solar Eclipse that basically was viewed in the US East Coast and all that. And I really am happy that the Americans are having their time looking at the solar eclipse. That's a good thing. I hope that nobody was blinded during the scenario or the phenomenon. Okay, I really hope there's no eye damages that were reported. Then, when it comes to pop culture and music, Slim Shady is dead. Eminem killed his alter ego Slim Shady, and later this year, he realized that he is now a grandfather through his daughter Haley, because Haley got married, and then she and her husband surprised Marshall Mathers, and yeah, Eminem's now a grandpa. Yeah, Grandpa Mathers. That's that. And I mentioned Taylor Swift's Eras Tour and the Tortured Poets Department. that was phenomenal. And, for those who watched it, congratulations, you're part of history. For those who, are following it or following the trends, well, there you go. The Eras tour is absolutely successful. The Tortured Poets department is, is a banger for some Swifties. So yeah, that's that. And when it comes to movies, I personally watched Inside Out 2 alongside Miss Intrepid. And the fact that it is a smash box office hit is warranted, because a lot of people have been, have been having some serious issues when it comes to their mental health. And it's a good thing that these people are watching these kind of films. And I know it's a franchise. Fuck franchises. I'm not sure why, but franchises just dilute storylines for some reason. But you know what? I guess this is a very rare exception. Inside Out 2 has been very much anticipated, and you know what? It's such a shame that Disney and Pixar are in a bit of a pickle when it comes to a lot of corporate shit, especially DEI. And you know what? Yeah, that's another can of worms. The DEI thing. So that's that. And then in when it since we're talking about Disney here, we might as well talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU. And Robert Downey Jr. is back as Doctor fucking Doom. I mean, we all mourned his death as Tony Stark in Endgame. So, RDJ playing as Doctor Doom in another MCU installment is really a surprise for Marvel fans. So, yeah. And when it comes to surprises, there's also Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the best football players of all time. I am not here to debate on who is the best between him and Lionel Messi. Let the football fans duke it out. But Ronaldo is relevant in this Yearender report because he is now a YouTuber. And his YouTube channel soared so high that for some reason he's now toe-to-toe with Jimmy Donaldson, aka Mr. Beast. So let's see what happens. But I really hope that Ronaldo would have a podcast a football related podcast at that. So yeah, I really hope so. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you would pardon my voice, because it's been horsey for the past few days. Not only because of the Misa de Gallo Simbang Gabi thing, but also of Christmas and the weather. So that absolutely fucked up my voice at this point. So yeah, either way, the show must go on for one last time in 2024. So let's go in the home stretch here. So as you all know, I'm a Catholic, and I am definitely I'm definitely in some kind of interest when it comes to a lot of things Catholic. So first of all, I am particularly a devotee of the Jesus Nazareno, and a lot has happened in Quiapo Church this year. First of all, the church itself was elevated to a national shrine. It's not just a minor basilica anymore. It's it's a minor basilica and a national shrine. And the rector of the shrine, Father Rufino Sescon, has been named the new bishop of Balanga. So yeah, that's a good thing also for the Church of Bataan. So that's a good it's a good news for them. And then the 2024 procession of the Jesus Nazareno in January 9 this year has been one of one of the fastest, if not the fastest to date. So I really hope that discipline would be in the ranks of my fellow devotees this coming January 9, 2025, and I hope to witness it myself firsthand. So please pray for me. All right? And then when it comes to canonizations and beatifications, there have been a lot. Recently, the Pope has canonized I'm not sure of the term, but the Pope has canonized the martyrs of Compiègne, the martyrs of the Carmel of Compiègne in France. Basically, these are French nuns or nuns that have been in the Carmelite convent of Compiègne in France, who were one of the last, if not the last, victims of the Reign of Terror. Because 10 days after all 16 of them were executed, Maximilien Robespierre also had his head cut off. So that's a good thing. When it comes to other upcoming canonizations, 2 guys are about to be canonized. Carlo Acutis, the first of my generation to become a saint in the Catholic Church, and then there's Pier Giorgio Frassati, whose nephew is still alive to this day. So it's bonkers. I really hope that Frassati's nephew would attend his uncle's canonization. Either way, that would be cool. And then there's some church shenanigans. Traditionalists who are divided over Luce, and then there's Pablo Virgilio Cardinal David. I personally have some reservations about him, but you know what? Whatever. And then there's Julian San Jose, who was invited to perform a concert inside a church in Mindoro. I mean, I know I have to atone to all of the liturgical abuses that I've done in the past, but goodness gracious me, what the hell is going on with these people? I don't know, man. But those are some of the many shenanigans that happened inside the Catholic Church. And then, of course, I have started this Yearender review report or whatever special with reporting the beginning of Jubilee 2025, when the Pope opened the Holy Door of St. Peter's Basilica. And finally, when it comes to spaceflight, there has been a lot reported this year, aside from frequent SpaceX flights of the Falcon 9. So Vulcan has debuted its ULA has debuted its Vulcan rocket. Blue Origin is on the works on debuting its New Glenn rocket. The Indian Space Agency, the ISRO, has done a lot of stuff, a lot of significant stuff after they have landed their Chandrayaan lander on the moon. And speaking of moon landings, Japan has succeeded the lunar race of 2024. Although it landed sideways, it's still a win, so that's okay. And then, as I said, Boeing is in a deep well of shit for not only its 737 mishaps, but also with Starliner And two NASA astronauts are stuck in the International Space Station because of it. And then VSS Unity of Virgin Galactic made its final flight this year. It would be replaced with a new fleet of Virgin Galactic spaceships, Spaceship 2s, I think, or Spaceship 3s, I'm not sure. And then NASA launched its Europa Clipper mission to the Jovian moon Europa, and basically it's orbiting the Jupiter system. And yeah, Polaris Dawn. I mean, that was a great mission, Polaris Dawn, and my fascination for Starship would never get old, because goodness gracious me, skyscrapers can fly. Okay, that's all of the particular highlights for 2024, and that's basically what happened this year. Now, personally, 2024 has been a deeper rut than I have projected. I have been steady with the work I once had, but then again, for some reason, the company made a BuzzFeed-like decision which caused me to spiral into bouts of depression, despair, and desperation. If not for some of my colleagues who not only saved my ass but also invited me into their media project, I would have been in a very, very, very deep state of cynicism. And speaking of which, I have since realized that cynicism destroyed my life, and it also continues to threaten my growth as a human being if I continue to become cynical. As mentioned earlier, the von Neumann-Patrick concept of game theory, yes, I am still adding MatPat's name in it, is a game of trust. However, gaining it is very hard in every quote-unquote game people get themselves into. And with all that has been happening in our world in the past 12 months, there indeed is what Dr. Jamil Zaki defined as a trust deficit. By the way, Zaki wrote a book called Hope for Cynics, and I would definitely like to have a copy of that book for 2025. Anyway, because of all of this, I made the fateful decision of acquiring a copy of Dr. Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life. It is a self-help book, but unlike its peers, it was written by an actual clinical psychologist and is not preachy in nature, or at least it's not preachy for my standards. While it is too prosaic, it captivates you to read and reread more of his perspectives on how to balance confusion with clarity and chaos with order, and destroy cynicism through internal reflection and simple external actions like cleaning one's room, standing up straight, and to pet a cat or dog upon seeing one. While I understand that this is general self-help literature, it does fit well with those struggling with cynicism and nihilism, such as myself. And so, as I literally start from scratch in 2025, my only prayer, thought, and hope is for me to finally be able to do what I love the most, substantially find such endeavors, execute all of my personal plans, and not only grow financially, but most importantly, mentally and spiritually, in order to counter cynicism with a renewed faith and trust in humanity. In conclusion, all that I ask of you, dear listener, is for you to pray or spare a thought for me as I enter 2025 as a pilgrim of hope in this cynical world, because I genuinely seek to understand how hope does not disappoint, spes non confundit, while everything is falling apart right before our eyes. And with all that said, this is INTREPID and Riñon reminding you to at all times, now more than ever, and up until the year that is about to come, be the salt of the earth and the light of the world. Until then, look alive, stay alive, be kind to yourself and to each other, especially during this Christmas season. And thank you for watching and listening to all the content I made for you this 2024. And on behalf of my family, my partner, Miss Intrepid, and the people I'm working with in all the things I'm involved with, I would like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year. From here in Intrepid HQ, see you next year in 2025. Ian out.